Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time away from your busy schedule. I'm really grateful that you all came. And I have been a professional translator for about 15 years. And even though I'm not an expert in CAT tools, I've been using them for many years. I used a variety of CAT tools. And so I wanted today to give you an overview of what a CAT tool is and what they can do, how to use them, why, when. And then later, the second part of the presentation, I will show you specifically the CAT tool I'm using right now every day. So what I hope to achieve today is for those of you who translate or who want to get into the translation business, you have an open mind and you have a better idea of what a CAT tool is, and maybe you will go get one, that will facilitate your work. Is anyone here translating already? Okay, so full pay? Yes? Or, okay. So, I don't know if you use CAT tools yourself, but what CAT tool do you use?
So, for example, the one I use the most is Omega T.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that one?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. So, the majority of you, I'm sure, then might not have a clear idea of CAT tool. CAT tool it's a little bit new. It's a new technology. It's being developed every day, every month. We have a new one. They're different. They all have one specific goal, and it's to facilitate the work of a translator. It does not replace the translator at all. So what I want to show you first is CAT tools are not machine translation. That's one thing for sure, they're not. A machine translation is a software that will retrieve a word, a term, a sentence from a ready prepared dictionary and then input it into a target language, a translation. The goal is to have a usable translation in the smallest time possible. However, the computer will not be able to deal with syntax, grammar, all this the way a linguist will do. So we have a lot of errors. The first CAT tools were developed as machine translation, and then they quickly stopped doing this because they realized that the expectations were not matched. The results were appalling. And when I started translating myself, we had a lot of companies who used machine translation themselves. And what happened there, it was a bomb every time. And so they would send the documents back to us so we could retranslate them because it was so appalling. So it doesn't work. So I'm just going to show you one example. So this was taken from a Chinese newspaper. So I inputted it into Google Translate, and this is the translation it gave. The study found that childhood exposure to multilingual children, as has been routine practice empathy, social skills are often stronger. So it doesn't really make any sense. And if you take any language, really, you will have probably for short segments, the red is road, or the road is red, or the rose is green. It might come up that way, but the computer cannot think. So now the other thing to talk briefly about before I go into more details is a CAT tool comes directly from the linguist. The linguist, there is no prepare the dictionary in a CAT tool. The linguist makes everything himself. The linguist will input everything in the dictionary. So the CAT tool is you. The CAT tool will be as good as you are. So this is just a facilitating tool. So in the industry now these days, CAT tools develop because of needs. Needs changed. following globalization, that companies need to have their documents translated into many different languages. You have all those Fortune 500 who who do business with Europe, with all over the world. So we have more and more language needs, and I don't see more and more people speaking different languages either. So a CAT tool now is indispensable. It's essential for every professional translator on the market. The volume of work as well is really, really big these days. The translations I deal with, there is no document under, I would say, 5,000 words. Because you don't translate little paragraphs here and there those days. You have like a lot of different needs for different companies. And the turnaround is fast as well. And the difference as well from the beginning of CAT tools is the first CAT tools were developed based on Word. Now, they work on PDF, they work on Illustrator, PageMaker, all sorts of different formats. And this is one of the advantages, because for translators, we are not graphic designers mostly. Most of the time, we're not just linguists. And a CAT tool will really allow you to work on such a variety of file formats. It's really, really it's essential. So just to give you an idea of the volume and the turnaround that we deal with, back in January, I had a translation to do. It was 45,000 words. That was for a company in New York. And I was given a deadline of 3 weeks. And those are usually what the deadlines are these days. So to give you an idea, that was not a brochure, but just to give you an idea, in a brochure, there are about 300 words. So that would be the equivalent of 18 brochures, which means that I basically had to translate one brochure a day to meet the deadlines. And that deadline, I was, I think, late by 1 day, which is amazing. But I would never have managed it without a CAT tool. There is no way. So this is basically what a CAT tool is. It will help you it will do the groundwork for you, and then it will allow you to focus on the creative part of the translation, because that's really what we have to do as translators. We can't just, we have so many references, so many dictionaries, so many things to consult. If it's all integrated into one CAT tool, your job is to translate. It's like for a teacher who wants to teach but cannot, because the teacher has to deal with all the bad behavior from the kids around. Well, that's the same for us. It's way easier to have a CAT tool. And one thing I just wanted to point out before we go on is, for me, the difference really between a machine translation and a CAT tool is, if you know the Siri from the iPhone, the voice message Siri, you talk to Siri, you ask a question. Now, the questions Siri can answer are pre-programmed, just like in a machine translation. It's all pre-programmed. So if you ask Siri, where's the closest pizzeria? Well, you'll get the answer. But if you ask a question outside of that programming, you will not get an answer to other questions, like what is the meaning of life? It's not gonna happen. So it's the same. Well, it's chocolate, by the way, but. So anyway, if you, so that's the main difference between an MT and a CAT tool. Now, when would you use CAT tools? Originally, they were developed for repetitive text. By repetitive, I mean anything technical like manuals, any technical documentation, any financial reports, annual bank reports, patents, or anything that is repetitive. So originally, that's what they were designed for. These days, they have so many useful features that even if you have a text that does not involve as much repetition, like for example, literary works, you can still use them. You would have to, I won't go into detail, but you just would have to design them a little bit differently yourself, okay? So then very large projects as well, when you have several translators of the same language working on to ensure that your terminology is consistent throughout the document. I worked on the London Olympic Games, and it took us, we started I think 3 months ahead and of the games. And in the middle of our project, one of my translators gave birth. That was not, it was just, we knew it was going to happen at some point, but not right in the middle of the project. The problem I had was I could not replace her by someone else, even with CAT tools there. I had to do my job, her job, and mine as well. I had to pick up her translations. But with that CAT tool, there's no way we would have made it. So the CAT tool allowed us to have the same consistency throughout the whole document, throughout all the different slogans we translated, all the marketing documents. And that's something that you yourself, without a CAT tool, has more difficulty to deal with, because you would have to look at very different reference documents, you would have to consult many dictionaries, you would have to go back and forth, rather than having everything integrated into one software. Also, you can use it for that. For documents that are updated, we have every 3 months, Bank of America sends us their quarterly reports, and those are about 50 pages. And we're not going to go through 50 pages, I mean, just, you know, so it's in the CAT tool, we know exactly where the changes are, and all we do is to review back the older translations and then work on the updates, and it's done because we have, again, a very short turnaround. And like I mentioned before, we use it for websites and very complicated file formats like PageMaker, Illustrator, so it's not just Word. He works on CAT tools work on all sorts of file formats, all the formats you can imagine really these days, so it's really, really good. So this is what it is. Basically, this is what most of them look like. You will have on the side, on the left, you would have your original translation inputted with your original document that you have to translate on the left. This is the source text. And on the right, this will be empty. And you will put in the translation yourself. That's what I mean by saying that a CAT tool is really created by the linguist. So it will store, the CAT tool will store the source and the target language into a database called TM, translation memory. Once it's stored, it's there. You can edit it, you can change it, but it's there. So you don't lose anything. And I remember I was working on a very large project, which I can't remember what it was for, but the next day I opened up my document, and it was due 2 days later, and it was a 120 pages document, just to give you an idea. And half the document was empty. The translation part, the target segments had disappeared. And I completely freaked out. But the technicians, the CAT tool experts, the designers, were able to retrieve the memory, because the translation was not really lost. It was there somewhere, there was a glitch. So it's super important. If you don't have a CAT tool and then your computer crashes, well, good luck finding, retrieving all those data, yeah? So, so that's what basically the advantage of it. So this is a clear view. This is a more, this is a larger view for you to see. We'll go into more details later when we do the demonstration. So you have your source text, you have your target text, and here on the side, it shows you, it will indicate whether this text here has been translated before, whether every segment has been translated before, and the CAT tool will suggest, the CAT tool will suggest translation for you. So this one is done already, But when you have an empty document, a document that comes first and this side is empty, the target text is empty, we'll see that later in our demonstration. The cat tool the job of the cat tool is to suggest already translated segments, words, phrases, and to present them to you. So the database builds up in time, and that's what you can see here. Okay, so as you saw, each segment is stored. The translation segment and the target. It's stored in the TM database. So that's the basic principles for all the cat tools. Every new segment they will come up through, everything they come up through, will try to see if translations have already been made on that segment. And then the cat tool will make suggestions on how to translate it. That's called the automatic term lookup. So on every cat tool, you will have a little icon, which is a lookup, and you can use that consistently to look for the term you're looking for. It will make more sense once we demonstrate the hands-on. This is just the basic overview. Now, the bigger the database gets, of course, the more valuable it is, but at the same time, the more careful you have to be. Because then when you have a very large database, like for example for Bank of America, we have a huge database. So the suggestions you will get for every segment, you might have 100 suggestions. So you're not going to go, they are of course ordered chronologically by order of importance and of which segment has been mostly used. So you have a turn, you click on it, the suggestions come up, and at the top, the first three will be probably you most, the choice you probably will end up selecting. So it is sorted out. It's not just a mess, okay? It's really, okay. And that's why I just want to reinforce the fact that the database is initially empty. You create it, you put whatever in it. So if you make a mistake, you will be there for others as well. I went through a document one day which had 2 pages of already translated things, I thought. I still checked, and they were every segment pretty much either had a typo or a spelling error or some lexical problem. And yet it was stored as the database as it was. So it is extremely important for you to make sure it is correct. So what you input is correct. And but then you can't change it at all times, yeah, anytime you want. Okay. This is now a quick overview of a few cat tools that I've either used in the past or that I know. So there is not the one that, but so the first one here, Trados, was the first one on the market. So for the longest time, it had a monopoly, and it's also the most expensive one. It starts at $900, something like this. So I worked with something called Tag Editor for a few years, and I found it a little cumbersome. It's extremely useful, but I just did not like it as much as the one I'm using here, which is WordFast. What I want to point out as well is cat tools will be different according to design and technology. So all the features will be pretty much the same, but they will work on different file formats. Like Trados works with every file types, everything you can find. They say over 70, but WordFast the same. But if you look at this one, for example, Meta Texas, it is based on Microsoft Word. So that's the first one I ever used. That was a really good one to start with, but it is limited, so you cannot work on PDF, for example, right? So that's the. Then there is the first three, Trados, WordFast, and MemoQ are very common software. So you can see the prices are different. The memo queue is $700, you know, and it all depends whether then you have a license renewal every day. You pay your software and then you have to renew your license at $100 or whatever. They're also compatible, so you can work. You have one, and you can work with another one. So if you ever have a company asking you if you can work with the Trados file, you just have to tell them, well, I work with WordFast. Is this compatible? Because most of the time, they will be compatible. The thing these days is if you want to work as a professional translator, the questions you will have to answer will be just your skills, whatever experience and risk. And invariably, there will always be, which CAT tools do you use? Now, when I started, the question wasn't there. Then they started putting, do you use a CAT tool? Now it's different. Now it's which CAT tools do you use? They expect you to use a CAT tool, and if you don't, you probably will have to be willing to learn and be trained on one. And each company, specifically what they do these days is they lock onto one CAT tool, or they take one and customize it to suit their own needs. So last month, I was approached by an Australian company I used to work for, and they designed their own CAT tool. They called it Coach, and they asked me if I could try. So this is how, you know, everyone uses it now in this market. So the good thing also about WordFast is that they have a free version. It's a demo version. You can download it yourself. This is the one I'm going to show you in a minute. You can download it from the internet, and it is not the full version, but it has the main features. And you can use it for however long you wish. The only limitations will be in the number of words you can translate. You cannot go past 500 segments or translation units. Past that, you will need to buy. But that's okay. I mean, for shorter documents, and it's an excellent tool to play around. If you don't know anything about that tool, you can learn a lot from there. And before we go on, I just want to point out that one, Lilt. It's not on the market yet. It's just been, it's based on a Stanford research, and it's in trial period. And I was lucky enough to get an account to try it on. So this one is very different. First, it's based on the cloud, so you don't download it. So I assume they will have all the safety features and the confidentiality and all these really looked at. But, and it's called Predictive Typing. So basically, what the computer does, the software does, is it learns as you work. So as you type, the computer will suggest and predict, not just suggest, but predict phrases and whole translation units for you to use according to your own way of working. So it's totally fascinating. It's not yet completely finished. They're gonna release it, I think, in the summer. And I think there will be, I don't know, it'll cost about $40 a month or something. I can't remember what they said, but it's a new approach to CAT tool. It's the step, you know, further, right? So it's, I found this totally fascinating. So that was a very brief overview of, you know, what CAT tools are, what they do. Before we move on to the next part, can I take any questions if you have anything to ask, if things were not clear or?
I'm just curious, so you get a document in PDF or whatever file format, you import it into your CAT tool, and it separates it into phrases? Is that what it just does it automatically?
Right, okay. So
Okay.
that's exactly right. Now, the good thing about CAT tools, different CAT tools, right? For repetitive documents like annual reports or, you know, all those patents, all these, it will segment automatically the documents at the sentence level, because that's what we do for repetitive documents. But these days, if you have a poem or some literary work, which would be better translated if you had the whole paragraph, it will segment it at the paragraph level. You design it yourself. You just, the computer does what, the software does whatever you want it to do. But just know that it can segment at word level. If you need to have it segment the document at the word level, it will do that. It is suited just for your needs, and you customize it within the boundaries of the system itself, of course. Yeah.
So if I may, so you can go to a PDF and just click open. You can like go to a file, find file, and open a PDF, and it will automatically segment it for you. Okay.
And it will do that for all. That's why the importance of those new file types, like FrameMaker, all those illustrators, that it will just open it. Not only that, and that's the second part, but it will open it and then format it back to its original. So you will have exactly the same file type that you had, the same format as the original.
Websites included?
Websites as well. So it is the first CAT tools that were designed, like the meta texts, like I said, was limited to Word. But it worked very well, but words, that was it. So PDF, you still had to do your own formatting, and if you're like me and not really good with formatting, well, you know, it kind of ran its course. But yeah, so, anything else?
Do they offer many different kinds of languages?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, oh yeah, they have all. The Trados the WordFast, the one I work with, has not only different languages, but like if you take Chinese, they offer, the software has traditional, simplified, and then it even has, so Chinese from Hong Kong, Chinese from Taiwan. So it is, for French, we have French, so from France, then you have Belgium, French from Switzerland, so you can pick whatever. And when you get usually a translation, if the company wants to specify the language, dialect, you will be able to choose it on your CAT tool. So if somebody says to me, oh, I want this French Canadian, I can set it up to have a French Canadian. So if there are some words that do not feel, you know, very appropriate for the French Canadian audience, the computer will suggest some changes to me. But again, you do all the work, right? It just does the groundwork, but you are the one, you know, set it up and, you know. Okay. So.
I'm assuming maybe that Lilt might come out as a beta version. Might be very, very low cost.
Yeah, so I think they said about $40 a month. Usually in CAT tool you have two versions. You have a freelance version, so for translators who work like on their own, you know. And then you have another version they would call Enterprise Professional. That's the one I use because I work specifically for a company, so I use their CAT tool. So Lilt will probably be will come out at the two different levels. So it'll be very interesting to see. It is the next step in CAT tools. You know, now they're trying to. I'm not sure about being based on the cloud, but yeah. So okay. So if you guys don't have any more questions, okay. So what we're gonna do now is. So I'm gonna
Hit the escape button. Bottom.
and
The top box. Yeah. There you
and you guys see. Okay. Now this is. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here because I have to work on the computer at the same time. So. This is part of a press release I did, I don't know when. And this is the last part of the press release, so it's very short. It has like 5 segments. I took something very short just to show you, like as a hands-on demonstration. So,
what
this
software are you using right now?
WordFast. Yes, the one we talked about previously, the one that you have the free demo version that you can download. And this one is exactly the one that you would download from the internet. That's what, if you downloaded WordFast from the internet, you would have that. Well, not this, but that software, right? So this is a Word document. So I open the Word document in my cat tool. So you have here, file, and then you can open file and all this. So it's just the same as, normal documents. And it immediately segmented it into sentence level. So I'm ready to go. So what you do is you start translating, okay? But then you think, okay, so maybe I should check if, because that's what you have to do every time. A normal translator without a cat tool will start translating, but you have the cat tool. So what you want to do is check if there is previous terminology, that previous segment similar to that one that were translated earlier. So what you do is you have to highlight this, or a word, or anything you want, and you will go to that little icon then, and it's the lookup. Every, oh, can you see?
No, it's fine.
So every cat tool has, of course, this lookup button. Every step you take as well, you can, everything you see here, every little command, you also can use a shortcut. Everything, okay? So if you don't want to use this command and you want to use a shortcut, you use the shortcut, yeah? That's, okay. So we click on this and you see here, this is the suggestions. So, can you see? At the bottom here, you have the segment was already translated before, and I have a translation here, à propos de Gilead. So there is one suggestion. You can have as much as 200 if the same text has been translated in different forms. So for this one, I kept it simple, right? So you're gonna, what you do is you copy it, and you're gonna paste it onto your and you're just gonna paste it on your target cell, and this is it. There should be an accent there. So you have this. So what you do now? This is not saved in the TM right now. It's just you just wrote it, but it's not saved. You have to now commit it to the translation memory. And to do that, you have this button there. It's the next segment. If you click this, it will pass directly onto the next segment. And this one there, the first one, à propos de Gilead, will then be committed in the TM. You can go back later and change, and change whatever you want. So on the next segment, the computer has automatically looked up for previous segment. And here we have a previous translated document, which is the same paragraph, because in press releases, this is a type of repetitive document, and it's pretty much always the same type of phrasing. So here we go. This was translated exactly the